You're listening to the Silver Lined ReLaunch, and I'm your host, Hilary DeCesare, award-winning entrepreneur and transitional coach. Each week, I'll invite you to tune into inspirational stories, revealing how you too can turn ordinary experiences into the extraordinary. Feeling stuck? I'll share step-by-step strategies to fuel your ability to experience a life where silver linings are both abundant and possible. Welcome to episode number 21 of the Silver Lined ReLaunch. And all right, everyone, I want to ask you a question. How many of you right now are wishing and willing the year to be over? You just want a fresh start. I just want to wipe this one away. Well, I would say 9 out of 10 of you might be saying that. And it really makes a lot of sense on the outside of being able to say, yeah, this year, every month, there seems to be something else. But in reality, this is the worst approach to take, because what you're actually doing is giving the bad more power than you actually want it to have over you. And whether there is 4 months left of the year, 6 months left, 3 months left, it doesn't even matter. What I want you to be doing is changing the way you're approaching it so that you don't wish away time, whether it's like, I just wish this divorce would be over. I just wish this relationship would be done. I wish this project would be over. I wish. And what happens is it kind of stalls it out. It kind of makes things even appear worse. And you start to validate the bad that just keeps happening. And then you are encouraging more bad to come in. Right? So if all of a sudden you're focused on, oh my gosh, yet another bad thing just happened. And of course this happens. I mean, I think I've mentioned that, clients call me and first thing out of their mouths is, oh my God, you're not going to believe what just happened or what's happened this week. And it's this concept around the more you put out there that you believe is negative, the more you're going to bring in. And so what I want you to do is think about what type of mentality is it when you're saying to the point of, I feel like, just more and more things are happening. And oh my gosh, if we hadn't had this happen this year, I would have been able to do this. Or if, I had not been in this situation, or if I had had more money, or if I had, the ability, or how about this, the ability to, work directly with my clients, to be able to see them face to face, to be able to get there on stages, to be able to, have that big event I had planned, I would be ... You have the excuses, you have that blaming sense, you have the denial of there's always going to be something that comes up, always. And what happens is, as we get into this, kind of, I wish that something would be done faster, I wish it were just over, we miss the opportunity to have the silver lining. We miss the opportunity to end well, to start a better period in our life. And endings are so important, but the right way. So if you look at right now what's happening with, let's just say you've got 3 months left of a year, and you're sitting here, maybe it's the end of Q1 or Q2 or Q3, but you're kind of getting to the end and you're just like wanting it to be over. Instead, could we possibly look at this and say, what else could I do to prepare better for the next quarter or the next year or the next relationship or the next job? What could I be doing right now to get me into a better position? And again, it's that planning, it's that encouraging yourself to kind of look beyond that victim mentality and instead start looking for what you can have ownership in, what you can actually be in charge of in your life, and start to have accountability for what you are bringing into your life, right? Instead of like the flip side of, oh, woe is me, you're now looking at it like, hey, I am responsible for what happens in my life. And this gives you this kind of victor mentality. And when you have a victor mentality, it means that you've risen over your obstacles, you've risen over the things that have been challenging in your life. And you do have that sense of, yeah, I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to finish well. I'm going to wrap it up really well. And I look at the times in my own life where I decided to do just that. I decided to make sure that I didn't leave in a bad way, that I paved the road for my own possibility, because nothing good has ever come from scorching the earth or from, head in the sand. Because what happens, you put your head in the sand, you come out, your face is all sandy, you got to brush it off. If you don't accept what's going on around you, then when you start to rebuild, which is going to happen, you're not going to be in this position forever. You actually have gone further back than had you just agreed to say, all right, how can I move forward now with more of this victor mentality versus the victim mentality? And as I, think about, the careers that I've gone through, the businesses that I've had, when I look at what I have overcome and the obstacles that I've had to overcome in my own career, I would have, it's very easy to get sucked into the vortex of like, the woe is me. But there is a point where you have to say, you're not going to do that. And every time I took the high road, every time that I was looking at, all right, come on, what can I do to make this better? I ended up getting the silver linings that come from those. So if I think back, and I remember when I had my second company, my first company was with a fabulous partner of mine, Debbie Monroe, and we had White Space Inc. And it was a consulting company for executives in the Silicon Valley, and we helped to get them back on track and put frameworks around their business to grow and scale it. And then life started to happen, and I was going through a divorce. I had these young kids, and I really wanted to create something that would be impactful for them. And so it was all around keeping kids safe online. And I created this company with a couple other fantastic women, Kim Bruce and Paige McCullough. And we decided that we were going to keep girls safe online, girls that are under 13. And there was a moment where we were starting to get traction and things were really starting to work really well. And we had an acquisition offer. And this acquisition offer was exciting. It was, oh my gosh, I can't believe, we're gonna have, the unicorn event. We're gonna have this like, woo, this fabulous thing. And then I started to get into the details of what would be involved in this acquisition. And I realized that as I heard it, one, these relationships that I had for so long would most likely be damaged if I took the acquisition offer. And two, it really wouldn't give us an opportunity to do what we had set out to do, our goal, our mission. And so at that point, we turned down the offer and we ended up, instead of just focusing on girls, we ended up bringing in the boys. And changed the name and really had this positive start. And it was hard. I mean, when you start a new company, there is a lot of that, the knocks that come with it, right? The things that knock you down every day, the things that really you feel like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of blame out there of like, oh, if they hadn't have done that, or, if we hadn't had this happen. And finally, I just said to myself, I've got to own up to where we are, and I need to look forward with where we can potentially go. And it became almost this mission of I am 100% responsible for the direction of where we're going to go, of what's going to happen, of the output, not just the input. This, what are we working on? How is it going to matter? How is it going to impact? And I think what's happening right now with the fear that's out there is that we're all in fear of making yet another mistake, making a mistake that could cost a lot of money, making a mistake when our business isn't necessarily where it should be. And I have to say, up until the time where this year, and I'm talking to you in 2020, up until the March timeframe, my business was moving along, and it wasn't blowing off the charts. It wasn't like, woohoo. I mean, and I laugh because I always hear these people talk about like these, I became a 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure entrepreneur, and it happens so quickly. Well, I got to tell you, the experience that I have with working with literally hundreds, if not like 1,000 plus entrepreneurs, is that it takes time and it takes a lot of work. But here's the thing, that when that happened, where it was like a reality, where I ended up getting COVID and I became, one of the statistics, I remember thinking like, everyone's calling me, seeing, like, oh my God, it's so awful. What's it like? What's it like? And it was all the doom and gloom around it. Oh my God. Well, instead of that doom and gloom, I decided to take it as a challenge. And I think for so many of you realize that I created and crafted this challenge around creating a podcast, which here we still are. But I changed my sense of being the victim of like, oh my God, I'm number 39, and oh, what's going to happen? And, woe is me, to, you know what? I'm going to make something of this. And since then, I have put in place this clarity, these plans, and more accountability around my relaunch company. And guess what's happening? We have never seen such success ever. And I look at it and people will say, oh my God, this is so great. Things are really starting to happen. And I think, you know what? I've been doing this a long time. This is not something that's just happening. This is something that through all of the businesses, through all of the companies, through all of the work, through all of my teachings, whether it was, when I teach at universities in business classes, or whether I teach entrepreneurs on virtual stages right now or other stages, it's all an accumulation of everything that I have learned along the way, and being able to do these small relaunches and being able to not look at things as a victim, but really focusing on how can I look at this, that I'm going to get through this, that I am going to make something of, whether it's the last few months of the year. Great. How are we going to set ourselves up for a solid Q4 and an even better Q1? How are we going to do that? And it doesn't happen unless you take ownership of where you are and you take accountability that, yeah, when the buck drops here, it is you. You are accountable for everything you do in your business, for your business, in your life, in your relationships, and you're ultimately responsible for every single decision. So it goes down to what I always talk about, which is this concept of if you take full responsibility for everything that you're doing, that's when the magic happens. And so I want you to be thinking about this as we're closing out another year or you're closing out another chapter in something. And really ask yourself, are you right now going to be a victim, or are you going to be a victor and be victorious in your business and in your life? So at this juncture, you have the choice. That's the greatest part. And I have no doubt that right now, I want you to go and I want you to start to think about really putting this into action, because there is no better time to start than right now. And you know what? You don't need to be a statistic. You don't need to be like, oh, well, that was one of the worst years known. Because keep in mind, out of the 2008 complete financial crisis came more millionaires. So this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to start building what you want. Start to plant what you want to grow in the following months. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you felt a connection to this episode of the Silver Lined ReLaunch, please head over to iTunes now. It would mean so much to me if you would leave a good review and help others find silver linings as well. And don't forget, you can have immediate access to all of the bonuses and notes from the show today in our treasure chest, which you have access to for free by texting 55444 and typing in treasure chest. Or you could go to our private Facebook group, The Relaunch Effect, Living a Life You Love. Together we've hit the reset button for you, turning your transitions into a transformation. Until next time, don't forget, there's always a silver lining.